It's funny how we often discuss life's big moments, but we hardly talk about the first 20 minutes of our day. Many notice that, over time, mornings lose their random nature. You might remember when you could jump out of bed, driven by a thought or task, and be halfway down the street before really waking up. There was a certain joy in that spontaneity, feeling like the day was ours to grab. But lately, you might find that mornings need a plan, a silent routine that wasn't there before. It often feels like the world wants us ready instantly, but our bodies are asking for a little preparation. Some need a certain chair, a specific tea temperature, or just quiet time before facing the day. It's easy to write this off as getting stuck in our ways or losing it. We might feel a little embarrassed, like needing this structure makes us less able than before. We hide these needs, calling them quirks or habits, and rarely mention that if the routine is broken, wrong tea or interrupted silence, the whole day feels off. But it's rarely about the things themselves. It's not just about the cup of the toast. This structure might be a bridge between sleep and being awake. We aren't becoming rigid. Maybe we're just realizing what it takes to focus. We used to ignore the transition, but we now honor it, often without thinking about it. Our bodies and minds have decided they don't want to be rushed anymore. We often don't say this because we don't want to seem fragile, but there's a big difference between fragility and knowing what we need to feel steady. It doesn't always mean something is ending. Maybe our random mornings were hard on us, and we now allow ourselves to stop doing that. We can see this as losing speed or as respecting the start of the day. It's just something to keep in mind, a small thought to carry with you. This change might matter a lot, or it might just be a small shift in our lives, worth noting only when you want to understand your own pace. Just as our mornings need a slower start, many notice a similar change in how they handle the day. You might remember feeling energized by doing many things at once. There was a time when the TV could be on, something cooking, and you could be writing and talking on the phone at the same time. We wore that as a badge of honor, showing we were keeping up with the world. It felt normal to keep all those balls in the air without a thought. But lately, that same setting can feel less productive and more intrusive. Some say they suddenly need to turn down the volume on life. You might turn off the radio before starting something, or feel annoyed when someone talks to you while you're reading a recipe. It feels like our mental space for noise and demands has gotten smaller, more valuable. We might worry that we're losing it or that our minds are tiring faster. It's easy to call this a decline, so we don't talk about it. We don't want to admit that a busy house now feels like a distraction. But it's not always about losing a skill. Looking closer, we might just be more aware of our attention. We used to do 3 things poorly just to get them done. Now we want to do one thing well. It's like our minds are choosing quality over quantity. We're not unable to multitask, it's just that it now costs us more. Switching between tasks feels harder, and doing one thing peacefully feels better. This isn't a problem to fix or a sign of something breaking. It's how we spend our energy. We might create habits that protect this focus, setting aside times for tasks so they don't mix. It's just something to notice without judging, this quiet moving away from noise. You might find this helpful the next time you want to clear the room of distractions, or you might never think about it again. It's just a change in how we interact with the world, a new way of being present that values silence. As we focus on one thing at a time, many notice that this need for mental clarity spreads to our surroundings. It's as if our home, where the keys are, what's in each drawer, where the TV remote is, becomes a silent guide. You might remember when your space was messier and it didn't bother you. Keys were thrown anywhere, and finding glasses was just a small part of the day. There was freedom then, feeling like we could handle a little mess without losing it. But over time, many of us find that our surroundings affect our well-being. It feels like anything out of place is a question our minds have to answer. Some say they're more sensitive to the noise of a room. When everything is just where it should be, our thoughts have more space. We might fix a stack of books or clear the counter before relaxing. It's not always about being neat. It's about creating a space that doesn't surprise us. We often keep this to ourselves because we think we're becoming too picky or even rigid. We worry that caring so much about where things are means we're losing our sense of fun. We might apologize for our fussy habits or laugh it off as getting older. It's easy to call this a loss of freedom, but it might be simpler. We could be learning to save our energy. By making our surroundings predictable, we don't have to spend mental energy on them. We're setting up our space so our minds can relax. This doesn't mean the world is too much for us. It might just be a way to simplify things so our thoughts and rest can be clearer. Whether this is how you'll always live, or just something you're noticing now, doesn't change how useful it is. It's just something to keep in mind as you move through your home. You might find this order helpful, or you might just think about it when you put something away. When our homes become predictable, it's natural to look at the outside world differently. Many notice that spontaneity, which used to sound fun, starts to feel heavy. You might remember saying yes when a friend called to meet in an hour. There was fun in grabbing a coat and going out. We didn't mind a late dinner, a bad chair, or a long trip home. It felt like we had so much energy that we never worried about the cost of unplanned changes. But lately, that invite might start a mental checklist. What's the lighting like? Will it be too loud? How will I feel tonight if I go, and tomorrow morning? It's not that we don't want to see our friend, but being out has become more noticeable. We're deciding if the fun is worth breaking the routine we've worked to create. It feels like we're choosing between being social and needing to rest. We often don't talk about this choice because we don't want to seem difficult or no fun. There's pressure to be as flexible as we once were. We might feel guilty when we say no, just because something feels like too much. It's easy to call this a shrinking of our world or a loss of spirit. We might worry that by saying no, we're missing out. But this might not be a loss of interest in life. It might be knowing our limits. When we choose routine, we're often choosing peace. we're seeing that the cost of a whim has changed, and we're being more careful about when we'll pay it. This doesn't need to be fixed or explained. It's just how our energy is changing. You might find that some days the price is worth it, and other days a quiet night is better. It's just something to keep in mind, this change in how we value saying yes. And we might just watch it without calling it anything. As we're more careful about where we spend our energy, many notice that their bodies start to talk more clearly. You might remember when your body was silent and reliable. It did what it was told. It rested at night, and it didn't bother you unless something was really wrong. We moved through our days unaware of sitting, standing, or walking. It was a time when we could ignore our bodies because they were so quiet. But lately, that silence has been replaced by a constant talk. Many say it's like their bodies have learned to tell them what they want. You might notice the chair, the air on your skin, or a message from your back to shift your weight. It's not a sharp pain, but information that wasn't there before. It feels like we can't ignore things as easily. We notice how food makes us feel, or how light affects our stress. It's normal to feel uneasy about this awareness. We might worry that we're becoming obsessed with our bodies, or turning into someone who only talks about their aches. Some fear this is the start of closing ourselves off from the world. We keep these thoughts to ourselves, or we say, it's just getting older, as if that explains everything. But it might not be. It might not be that our bodies are failing, but that we're learning to listen to them. After years of needing to shout, our bodies can now whisper because we're listening. This new awareness often explains why routines are so important. We're not being fussy when we want a certain pillow or a certain walk. We're just listening to what our bodies are telling us. We're changing our surroundings to fit our body's needs, not forcing our bodies to fit a bad environment. This is a quiet choice that doesn't need some huge change. It's just a shift in the relationship, from bossing our bodies around to working with them. You might find it helpful to think about this the next time you feel a small signal from your body. Or you might find that the thought is enough. It's something we can carry with us, a quiet understanding that doesn't need to be said. This partnership with our bodies often leads to a shift in our sense of time. You might remember when time felt endless. Time was measured by deadlines or schedules. It was a rushing stream, and we were so caught up that we didn't feel it. We looked at the clock to see if we were late, but we didn't feel the weight of the hour. But as we settle into these routines, many notice that time feels like a thing we can touch. It feels like the day has its own gravity. Some say they're aware of the flavour of different times of day, the stillness of 5 in the morning, or the golden light of the afternoon. We start to notice the light on the wall or the sounds changing from day to night. Time isn't just a background, it's something we live in, like a room. It's normal to feel sad about this at first. We might worry that noticing time means we're just aware of it passing. There's an idea that if we aren't using time to do something, we're wasting it. We might feel pressured to say why we spent 20 minutes watching birds, or why we need more time between events. It's easy to see this slowing down as losing energy. We might hide these still moments, afraid others will see them as a lack of purpose. But it's not always about loss. It could be that we're finally present for the hours passing. When we follow a routine, we're seeing the small changes in time that we used to miss. The routine doesn't make life smaller, it makes the present bigger. It feels like we're arriving at a place where we can experience the day rather than seeing it as something to overcome. This isn't some huge discovery, and it doesn't need to be fixed. It's just a shift in view, a way of feeling the rhythm of the day. It's something you might think about when the house is quiet, or you might just let it sit in your mind, an understanding of your own life. Looking back at these shifts, how we start our mornings, how we protect our focus, and the new order we find in our homes, it's clear that these aren't just habits. They come together into a quieter way of being. We often feel like we're driving the day, rushing through time with urgency. But now, many notice a change where they're no longer trying to win the day, but to live in it. It's a small difference, but it changes everything. It's easy to see this routine as our world shrinking. We might worry that needing more structure means we're becoming fragile. It feels like we're expected to stay ageless, keeping up the same pace we had years ago. Some feel pressured to say sorry for their routines, as if having a way of doing things is giving up. But when we watch these changes without judging, they might seem less like closing off and more like support. Maybe we're not becoming less able, but more honest. We're seeing that our energy is limited, and we're choosing to spend it on what matters to us, not letting it be wasted. These routines, the cup, the quiet, the shelf, they're not walls. They're more like riverbanks. Without them, the water would spread out and lose direction. With them, the flow becomes deeper. It's creating space for a life that is still moving, just differently. In the end, there's no right way to name what's happening. We don't have to call it a new stage or a decline. It's just where we are now. Changes that help us stay in line with what we want. Seeing these shifts doesn't mean we have to change anything. It's just about knowing what's there. It's something you might think about when you feel good about a predictable evening. Or you might find that the thought isn't needed right now. It's just something to hold, knowing that how we move through time is allowed to change, like we do.